Morning. This guy left at that time.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon if you are watching from the United States. Good evening if you are in Yaounde or in Cameroon or in Africa, West Africa to be precise. Welcome to yet another edition of the Lambom Show. Today is Saturday. We have finally come to the end of the first round of the World Cup series. And in fact, the first match of the second round just ended, and I feel very disappointed because my host country, the United States, just got trashed by the Netherlands. And I was kind of thrown this morning because the Dutch, they have a history with at least the church in Cameroon. Most of the Mill missionaries came. So I was torn between which country to support, but of course, my bread and butter comes from the United States, and I live in the United States. And so I want to start off by saying congratulations to the U.S. men's soccer team that just got eliminated, one of the youngest teams in the competition. They put out a fantastic performance. It was really a great performance. Unfortunately, they did not could not come up with the necessary formula. But we have 4 years to prepare, And again, the next World Cup is going to take place in the United States, hosted by United States, Canada, and Mexico. That is in 4 years, 2026. We hope that for the first time, the host country, the United States, is going to lift up that trophy. But just before we move on, I want to bring Fon. Welcome, Fon.
Yes, Lambert.
How are you today?
I'm on. Well, just a little tired. I had to do what happened yesterday. The show of strength between Cameroon and Brazil, and then we had to come back and build up the program that you already have with you there. And so it was, for one reason or another, it became very difficult to catch a sleep. But I just want to say before we proceed that, listen, the issue that you host the tournament, sometimes what they call the hosting power of deliverance doesn't work. In 2022, Cameroon hosted the 2021 African Cup of Nations. They left the stage much earlier than everybody would have expected. So the United States just have to do something. I know it's not the World Series or something like that, but this is soccer, so understand it. That's how the thing is. Even England that created this whole thing called football, I will find it difficult to win and even sustain or even appear to have been the masters of the game. So that's how it is.
So even before we launched off, very unusually, Prophet Fon.
Well, Lambert.
Hold on. Let me get to the comments. Fon is our own prophet in football. Hi, Lambert. I'm very impressed with Uncle Fon for his forecast towards the Lions. Okay, those 3 early comments.
Well, I don't want to take those things on me. You remember what I said? There are 2 things I said before this competition began. And when you look at the facts and figures, you can say this thing will win. And if you have to do what they call graph paper axis of Y and Z, you can maybe extrapolate to imagine how things will go at the end of the day. But that somehow, somewhere, I felt away. And I said, like Franklin Bayent Swain would have said, and I borrowed from him, that there are things that you cannot codify. But I kept on telling you that that's what I felt, that Cameroon would have, first of all, a defeat, they proceed to a draw, and then have a victory. I remember young Sam said, well, Fon, I can respect what you are saying, but to imagine that Cameroon would defeat Brazil in the last game was asking too much of a us. And I retorted by saying that, Sam, that's what I felt. And feelings, if you are genuine feelings, they go the way you feel. And I will not say that I arrogate any of the success story of nothing. I just told him at the time that the success story of Cameroon in the first round of the tournament was going to be with Brazil. And it came to pass. And I can say it now before you take over from me, that sometimes God speaks to us. And when you are level-headed, You listen to what he tells you. Because if you ask me, I remember if you go back and play the tapes of the Lambom Show, because Lambert, I want to tell you that in Yaounde, they began to price Lambom Show as the most credible program on YouTube concerning football matters because of what happened. And I said, it does not me. I said, I insist that that is what I feel. It's not like I did any special work to do that. But if I had to go by the facts and figures, it would have been different.
Well, again, all credits to you, and that is what experience brings. That is what knowledge brings, and that is what expertise. And I mean, I had no opinion on that for different reasons, but we are grateful that you were able to predict accurately the performance or the outcome of the Lions, the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. I'm sure we are going to analyze 3 games later on. For now, I'd like us to watch 24 minutes of sports vision put together by the team in Yaounde, and then we'll come back to our team of analysts. And I want to welcome Jonas, Moleka, Focus, Beto, Jay Saleh, who are all there, and all those who are watching on the different platforms. Stay on, enjoy the next minutes, and then we'll be back for an analysis.
I am proud to be a Cameroonian 100%.
Yes, but what you have to retain is that before this competition began, I projected on the Lambom Show that Cameroon will lose the first match, play to a draw in the second match, and then win the third match. And so therefore, after that has been realized, we can now say with a lot of certainty on the Lambom Show that we're here for business. We are not counterfeit. We are people who speak and it comes to pass. So what would you say? Promise. What would you say?
Land of promise. That's me, land of promise. I am proud. It tells us that when you are determined, you can do it. If you are just believing yourself and you can move mountains. That's what we have seen tonight with the boys. And the red card is merited. You deserve it more than that. We are happy. We are proud.
Yes, certainly very, very proud. Because we can turn now and look at the screen. Can you look at the screen and see what is happening there? The closing moments of the event, the battle for Doha between Cameroon and Brazil. What a moment it was here. And the Yaounde City Council, where at least 8,000 were in attendance to watch us do this battle. What do you think, Madame, about this match? I see you almost crying.
Je suis très contente, je suis très contente. Oui.
On s'est dit donc le Cameroun qui qui réussit à battre le Brésil. How do you feel after this match?
I think we have won the match.
Yes.
We have won the match.
You won the cup.
Even if we are coming back, we have won the match. Yes. On a gagné. On a gagné.
So you tell me, young man, what do you think? What is your
Cameroon is a big country.
Okay.
Yes, yes. It's a big country. The continent. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. The continent.
So you call it the continent Cameroon. Unofficially had to meet. So what do you have to say about this match? How do you feel about this match?
Oh, a very good match. A very good match. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Very good.
What a spectacular moment here at the Yaounde City Council vicinity in the nation's capital, Yaounde. And over and above all, there was something I tried to let you viewers out of the world kept the date with the Lambom Show, that on sport vision would speak and talk and deliver. When we have these predictions or projections coming from me, many said it was sycophancy, that's what he say. I said just give it its time. And when we said the first game was going to be a defeat for Cameroon, it came to pass, we lost to Switzerland. Second game was going to be a draw. Cameroon bounced back from 2 goals down to pull it at 3-3. And today against Brazil, in spite of the fact that Brazil dominated Cameroon outrightly in the course of this match, it turned out to be that Cameroon ended up winning. Cameroun ended up winning. Spectacle. Et moi aujourd'hui après ce match.
Merci pour les gens indomptables. Vous êtes formidables. Malgré la défaite avec la Suisse,
Cameroun, on a gagné la Coupe du Monde.
On a gagné la Coupe du Monde.
On a gagné la Coupe du Monde. C'était notre finale ici, on a gagné.
On a tapé le Brésil.
On a tapé le Brésil, c'est fini.
C'est un but qui nous élimine. Mais on va gagner la Coupe d'Afrique à Côte d'Ivoire, nous en 2023. Oui, merci.
It's good also to understand that
Ecstasy is everywhere. The joy is abound.
it's going to be our celebration in the nation's capital all over the
I
national
bet
territory.
you nobody is sleeping tonight.
He has been taking a lot of alcohol in course of this match. What can you say?
Yes, speak French.
Right, speak French.
Je suis un supporter, je parle de ce match d'aujourd'hui. Je suis très fier de mes lions indomptables qui n'étaient pas boiteux et qui nous ont démontré que ce sont les vrais Camerounais.
Okay, thank you very much. Promise, you and I have been standing up all day and having this match being recorded for us by cameraman Ambroise Esono. Cameroon come back home with 4 points, having had 1 victory, 1 draw and 1 defeat.
That is a wonderful balance sheet for people who were not considered at all, people who were seen as the underdogs of the competition. Like, where are you going to? You are going to distribute points and come back with 0.0 goal, but it has been proven. This is 4 good goals for Cameroon. It's 4 goals for people who were thought of having just 0 goal, 0 points, and coming back home. I think that this country, when their backs are against the wall, they can bounce back more than the way people will imagine. I am particularly happy for the players because we saw them fighting to the last second. Nobody felt exhausted. Nobody felt like giving up. Everybody was fresh at the 98th minute. That is mental strength. I think it was far beyond the physical. They went to the mental, they went to the spiritual. And I think that all our prayers on the mountains, the lakes of Cameroon have helped. Okay. We send them the energies. Our ancestors were with them out there in Qatar, and yes, we are definitely very proud.
Okay, but earlier on today, there was the second African team to be eliminated from the competition after Tunisia. Now, Tunisia's performance too, we need to laud it, because in spite of the fact that they got eliminated from the tournament, Tunisia succeeded in defeating the defending champions, France, by 1-0.
That was a moment of pure joy. When Tunisia scored against France, the whole town screamed. I was like, who has done what? And Tunisia won France. We celebrated Tunisia's victory like you can imagine. And even though they are coming back home, it is coming back home with some joy. You are beating the current champions. You are very powerful.
That is it.
And I think that there is something about Africa. Lucky enough, as from the next edition of the World Cup, Africa has more places. I think that we are going to show the world that we even deserve more than the 8 places they are giving us right now. We will truly deserve more than that.
Okay, right now what we're going to try to do is that we're going to break away from here and then see, look at the two matches that we played today. First of all, Ghana. Ghana, unfortunately, did not qualify for the next round of the tournament, and they lost by 2-0.
That was, I still wonder why Uruguay was holding up so tight to that match, because despite their victory, Uruguay is going back home. But if Ghana won that match, Ghana would have gone to the next phase. I now understand why Suarez was crying so hard. Suarez wept and wept his eyes out. But if Ghana had won the match, it would have been so much pride for Africa.
Being a football historian, as a commentator at the time at CRTV, and being one of those who work for the International Federation for Football History and Statistics 12 years ago, it was in 2010 in Johannesburg in South Africa. What happened was Montare scored a goal at the 45th minute, and then there was the equalizer that came in from the opponent's grass. That was Forlan. Forlan put the match at 2 goals, at 1 goal each way. When they went on, now to see if the match could go into extra play time, there was a penalty kick at the 120th minute. What happened was that the ball was sailing into the net, then Suarez dived and stopped the ball with his hand, and so was given a red card, and that gave a penalty kick for the Ghanaians. And at that particular point in time, everybody thought that Africa, for the first time ever, will have a representative reaching the semi-finals of the World Cup. But Giant Asamoah shot wide, and they had to go to the post-match penalties, and that is how Uruguay defeated Ghana by 4-2. So the Uruguayans were hoping that they will repeat history and then go to the next round, while Ghana wanted the revenge. Then what happened is that Uruguay succeeded in repeating history, but they could not go to the next round of tournament.
And Ghana repeated history by missing another penalty in the match. They came against Uruguay, and it was really heartbreaking. All the opportunities they wasted, I was like, just put in a goal. We needed just 1 goal. The penalty from Aju that he missed, the other opportunities from the other players, it was so heartbreaking. But I think that Ghana is not really crying that they're going home, because they know that they're going home together with Uruguay.
Well, we are out of the tournament. It was a lethargic display by the Black Stars on many fronts. Andrea Ayew's missed penalty was quite dreadful. I mean, just bringing back memories of 2010 and showing us that it's no way near as easy as it looks and as easy as you might think it may be. But fortunately for us, Uruguay are coming home with us thanks to Korea's fantastic result against Portugal. So we might have bowed out of the tournament. We've learned many lessons, and we'll try to go again next 4 years. But at least we get to see Uruguayan tears again.
The former deputy captain of the national football team of Cameroon, Eno Ayong Takang, has been watching the matches from Amsterdam. So he's going to make a review of the performance of Cameroon and Ghana today, and then to tell us what are the lessons we learned from that.
Thank you for having me on, Mr. Fon. So far, Ghana's performance in the first round of the competition has been somewhat of an interesting one. They started very well, going head and head against Portugal with a very, very intense play and good display, and came 1 goal short of that game. They should have come out at least with a draw, but they picked up in the next game, and they beat Korea 3-2, which I think was a turning point for them. And everyone expected them to pick up that same momentum in the game they played last against Uruguay. And I think they thought that game would be much easier than it seemed. And I saw a lapse of concentration. They were too open in the game. They needed a draw, but they went all out. I think it wasn't smart. There was not a clear experience from them. And disappointing to see Ghana go out of the World Cup. I think they had a good team, and they could have gone through and created a lot of surprises moving forward. The story is the other way around for Cameroon, who started timidly. First game against Switzerland, which was definitely the main game. They should have gone all out and grabbed that 3 points. But we lost the game 0-1 to Switzerland, which put us in a tight situation against Serbia. We came back, showed character, and Cameroon's performance has been one of progressive, from a first loss to a draw and to a win against Brazil. The other way around probably would have make a big difference from us in terms of the results for the other teams. But that's the World Cup for these two African teams, Ghana and Cameroon. Personally, I'm very happy with Cameroon's performance in the sense that it's been progressive, and I think Cameroon can take that progressive result forward, especially for a coach like Rigobert Song that has just been new in the national team, played 2 qualifier games, played a couple of friendly games, and has played his first 3 top competition games in the World Cup. And for the first time after 20 years, Cameroon has been able to win a game and draw a game and come out with 4 points from a World Cup, and that's impressive. I think that's something to take home and move forward with.
Now, you remember, of course, a promise that earlier on, it was the African champion Senegal who showed the way to the African continent by qualifying from their group in which they featured the Netherlands, Ecuador, and Qatar. At the end of the day, Netherlands had 7 points, Senegal had 6, Ecuador had 4 points, and Qatar had no point. Now, what do? We just invite our viewers to see something they don't see every day. How the president of Senegal, His Excellency Macky Sall, came out to celebrate with his fellow countrymen following that qualification.
A very touching moment.
And now you say that there was also a celebration by an African head of state.
I enjoyed that moment when President George Weah hugged his son after he scored for the U.S. People have criticized him. Oh, he should not allow his son to become an American citizen. Liberia is not qualified for the World Cup. What do you expect from him? I just enjoyed the father-son moment, and the way the son also hugged all the father's bodyguards. It was a warming moment. I think we can watch a clip of that. Then we'll come right back.
Good to see you. Okay. We'll come back. Good break, man. The father will come back.
The Lambom Show is a YouTube forum with advice from Afro Food. The Lambom Show is a YouTube forum with advice from Afro Food. North to the south, the east to the west, Lambom Show focuses
was going to ask you the question. Promise Akante, do you remember whom they call Linus Pascal Fouda?
Of course. One of you. I loved the way you guys used to work, you know. I was quite younger back then, but I enjoyed him so much.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be fun again talking with him one-on-one, you know. It'll be nice.
Okay, Linus Pascal Fouda was the guy who used to anchor Football Foot at CRTV. At one point, he was the team press officer of the national football team of Cameroon. And Linus Pascal Fouda first watched football that he still remembers the details of in 1968. And since I've been watching football. So Linus Pascal Fouda has been following the performance of African teams. And then we invited him to come over and talk to us about what is found out to be the performance of Morocco and Senegal as they qualify to go to the 8 finals of the tournament. And I asked Linus Pascal Fouda, what do you think was the performance?
C'est très satisfaisant, surtout pour le Maroc, qui n'avait pas du tout les faveurs des pronostics dans un groupe où il y avait le finaliste de la dernière édition et celui qui a pris la 3e place, à savoir la Belgique, dont a priori, et pour tout, entre guillemets, les observateurs avertis de la chose du football, on se disait que avec beaucoup de difficultés, le Maroc allait passer, surtout pouvait passer, surtout qu'il venait de changer d'entraîneur et que c'était un jeune Marocain à quelques mois de la Coupe du Monde. Donc, sortir premier dans un groupe comme celui-là avec 7 points sur 9, c'est une très belle performance pour l'Afrique. De l'autre côté, bon, les choses semblaient un peu plus faciles pour le Sénégal. Malheureusement, elles se sont compliquées avec la blessure de Sadio Mané. Mais le Sénégal aussi, malgré un faux pas au départ, a réussi à faire ce premier tour et être en 8e. Je crois que c'est une très bonne performance pour l'Afrique. C'est même la meilleure performance de l'Afrique, surtout avec le Sénégal qui, en 3 participations, une fois quart finaliste, une fois éliminé au premier, maintenant au 2e tour.
After the performance, what chances Linus Pascal Fouda do you give to Senegal?
Je crois que les joueurs des 2 formations se connaissent bien. Beaucoup jouent en Angleterre, du côté du Sénégal, et dans d'autres grands clubs européens. Là, c'est open. C'est un match à qui tout double. Celui qui prend le taureau par les cornes, il passe. Je ne me souviens pas que l'Angleterre ait souvent eu beaucoup de bonheur avec les équipes africaines. Ça a toujours été très compliqué. Et je ne serais pas surpris. On regrette seulement, avec un plus qui aurait pu être Sadio Mané. Bon, vu aussi le niveau que l'Angleterre a affiché, ce sera un match ouvert. Maintenant, nous sommes au match couperé. Donc, tout peut arriver et je souhaite encore, en tant qu'Africain, que le Sénégal puisse éliminer et venger un peu ce qui est arrivé au Cameroun en 1990.
Linus, one last question. What chance do you give to Morocco ahead of the 8 finals?
Là, c'est très compliqué. C'est des grands producteurs de sardines d'abord, les 2, et puis c'est pratiquement des pays, disons, voisins de l'autre, chacun de l'autre côté de son continent, la mer est au milieu d'eux. Ce sera ouvert aussi, avec le nouvel esprit dont le Maroc a hérité, l'esprit Lion. Tout peut se jouer, tout peut se jouer. On a vu, je crois, le Japon malmener l'esprit. Le Maroc n'a qu'à s'en inspirer. Maintenant, tout peut arriver. Bon, peut-être d'autres critères vont rentrer en jeu pour freiner l'Afrique.
We are just about to close this edition of Sport Vision on the Lambom Show and taking the appointment for next Monday. Meanwhile, we know that on Sunday, Senegal is going to be locking horns with England. That match is highly awaited, and we're going to give you the inside out of that match. And so we are going to close this again once more. One word concerning Cameroon's performance.
It was our victory. It was our World Cup. We would take that cup. We don't take that cup.
And that's what we say, Allez les Lions. See you.
So thank you very much, Fon. Thank you for the clips and the video from Yaounde, and thank you to the team, the technical team that put that together. Quite interesting, and I wanted to welcome Comfort Comfort says, greetings from Douala, Lambert and Fon. Thank you, Comfort. Charles, the 26 Lions who went to Qatar should be maintained for upcoming competitions as well as the technical crew. I think there may be people who differ with you. Yes, I think most of the team has to be at least maintained. But I think that, it has been a great performance from the African teams. The 5 teams that qualified, I think they put up, there's none that you could really fault for not performing at the real optimal level. Only 2 have qualified to the next round. We have Senegal playing against England tomorrow, and we have Morocco playing against Spain on Tuesday. And one wonders, it is time for the analysts to give us their verdict on the 5 African coaches who led the 5 teams and their performance, whether these coaches really merited the appointments that they had. And I'm wondering the controversy that hit the Cameroon team with the goalkeeper, Andre Onana. I think now we have a new goalkeeper. The display of the young man yesterday was quite incredible, and everybody is watching the new goalkeeper for the Cameroon team. I agree with you that most of the team should be maintained, especially given the competitions that are coming up. But we saw for the last time, maybe Abubakar, that's another controversy that is coming up. Well, the first game of that competition of the World Cup, where Cameroon, the Indomitable Lions, played against Switzerland, Abubakar came on from the bench, and many people were wondering whether that was a good strategy. So remember that for the 3 games, Cameroon played a 4-3-3. Against Serbia, it was a 4-3-3, and when Abubakar came in, you had Choupo-Moting together. It changed the dynamics of the game. And yesterday, the formation was quite interesting because I think the technical team put together a 4-5-1. So you had 4 defenders and 5 people in the midfield, and up front you had Abubakar. And the 2 people who everybody is looking out and claiming now, the player from Colombe, Sang Malima, the guy who gave the cross that was headed in by team captain Vincent Abubakar, those seem to have been the 2 major revelations of yesterday's game. And while people claim that the Brazilian team put out its team B, they forget too that Cameroon made significant changes in its lineup. Yes, I agree with you, Philemon. I agree with you. When I said Cameroon should play a 4-4-2, you are right. We only got that after the second game, the game against Serbia, when the coach now fielded Choupo-Moting and Abubakar, and that was a real game changer. Well, Charles says Morocco is heading for at least the semifinals. Let's come back to that, but fun. And I wanted to go. Let's start off with Senegal. They had an easier group at least on paper, because they had this is their first World Cup performance, and their first in the modern era. It did not go the way we had predicted, because they ended up having to fight with Ecuador at the last minute, and it didn't seem as if this Senegalese team, at least they will have to cut them some slack because their magician is out, Sadio Mane. But overall, what do you think about the Senegalese team, and what is your projection for tomorrow?
Okay, Lambert, I don't know. Are you getting me clearly?
Yes,
I am.
Clearly? Yes.
Okay. I am sitting at a place in Yaounde called Carrefour. It's been described as a place where your husband gets this in Yaounde, you find him here. So, I don't know what they're saying. So I'm here with all the brands and colors of sports fans you want to know, and you want to know. Let me say what I think about the match. You know, all of these players, they go through what they call the lifespan in the game of football. And the end of the road is playing and winning the World Cup. So now, Senegal goes to the African Cup of Nations and wins it and remind themselves that they have the World Cup to play. They tell themselves that in 2002, we reached the quarterfinals of the World Cup, and since then, we have been short of ourselves. So what do? That they cannot celebrate anything if it's not at least the quarterfinals of the competition. So as far as Senegal is concerned, playing against England and winning is a no deal. When you go past the quarterfinals and then hit on to the semi-finals and go reaching the final stage. So what I can tell you, remember the question you asked me, Lambom, before this competition took up, when they said that Sadio Mane have been declared unfit for the competition. And I tried to make an analogy between yourself and so on and so forth. I said, once you have taken away the person of whom every person counts, those who are staying behind take their responsibility, and that's exactly what they're trying to do in Senegal. So I think that England should be worried of two things. The new Senegalese team that want to make their mark, and the Senegalese team that want to salvage what they call an injustice done to their brothers of theirs in 1990 when Cameroon takes on playing that they defeated England at the quarterfinals of 1991 Cup, so that was fixed. So the match tomorrow evening, and that's where we're going to be shooting the sport mission on Lambom Show. We're going to get every minute of what the guys in charge, from the ambassador, ordinary fan, who's going to be thinking about concerns tomorrow's game. So as far as concerned, it's going to be a top class England tomorrow. That's why you can be very sure about it. And so it's for anything at the end of tomorrow's match.
So I think your background is noisy. I'm not sure what you're saying properly. Maybe you're quiet, I don't know. But meanwhile, again, I think we all are very proud of the Senegalese team. Everything they have come a long way. They are current champions. At least we are happy that they qualified for the second round of the competition, the knockout stages. And they too have a pretty young team. And we are looking forward to them defending their title as African champions. I think that tomorrow is not going to be easy. The English team is not, they too have a very tough team. And I know that the game tomorrow is really going to be very interesting. Senegal, I think, Mendy has not really been in my estimation, Mendy has not really performed well. I know he's been the goalkeeper, but I think Mendy has not been on the top form as he's supposed to be while playing for Chelsea, and even before coming to the competition. But I also think that the attackers of the Senegalese team have really not been as sharp as we tomorrow they are facing, call it the first real challenge of the World Cup. I'm not saying that the other teams that they played were not, but tomorrow is going to be their first challenge. And I know Aliou Cissé has been, this is a team that he has built over 4 years. He's been very consistent. He has taken his time to build up a team, but we'll see that prowess again tomorrow. Pon, you want to say something? Yes. Albert says your predictions were very correct. There are people who are used to Carrefour. Comfort says he's very busy and noisy. Too much live chopping. That's where.
I gave you a description of what they call Carrefour Meg. But let's go back to the file of the program. Lambert, we agree on so many things. There is something I want to insist on. When you come to the World Cup, and I said that before, that after the first round, 8 teams will leave the competition. Maybe they have the best coaches or not. It's going to be like that, whether I like it or not. At the end of the day, one team will win the cup. So now, when you look at the Senegalese team, the players know what they want. You feel players and people are getting into the pitch for duty and they know what they want to do. First of all, they want to take care of their identity. Secondly, they want to defend the national flag. And thirdly, they want you to stand and say, no, the performance of this particular player was not a fluke. It's been consistent with what the player has been doing. What I've seen with the Senegalese team, like I told you from a while ago, when you asked me that, with the absence of Sane, or rather of their team captain Mane, that was it deal done for Senegal? I said no. Now the other players will say, okay, now this is the time. We have been given a responsibility to embrace it. Go back to yesterday's game between Cameroon and Brazil. Goalkeeper Passy said, okay, since Onana says that he's not there, and the entire nation counts on me, let me do what I can do. Go back to about 30 years ago, when Nigeria came and played in Yaounde. Goalkeeper Peter Rofai had to accompany the Nigerian team. He didn't show up. They looked for the second choice goalkeeper called Godiga. He came in, and when the pressure was too hard on him, at one point he felt that he was sick or that he had been injured. He left. They brought in Aloy Agu. Aloy Agu came in and occupied that first post in Nigerian goalkeeping department for about 4 years. So that's how it is. Those players who are always sidelined because they claim that you have landlords in the team, when they are given the opportunity, they come in and they show what they can, they stay by that. Because after all, they earn their butter and bread like you do in the United States by playing football. So the Senegalese team know very well that they're African champions. Africa sent 5 representatives to the World Cup. 3 have left. 2 are remaining, including the champions. So would you show the good example, the bad example to Morocco? England should be very careful because Senegal is aiming at the semi-finals at least in this year's tournament.
Fawn, I hail you for excellent predictions. You predicted Cameroon losing the first match, drawing the second, and winning the third, which all happened the same. That shows your longevity and experience with the Lions. And Godiga got injured on the play just 5 minutes into the game. That's the Lions coming back. But I wanted us to go back to again.
Please, can I react to what Elias is saying? Elias,
yes, go ahead.
Elias, Godiga was never injured. The pressure at the Amadou Ahidjo's Temple of Legends was too much for him to contain. That's the truth about the matter.
I love how you call it the Temple of Legends. Okay, so I think it's let's get to the Cameroon team since they have been eliminated before we go over to Morocco. Now, what is your assessment in general of that team? Having watched them, when at the beginning of this competition you said Coach Song Bahanak has not been tested because all he had was one game, and then we had at least 2 preparatory matches, which were not real games, but at the end, now you have something to go off. So what is your assessment of the coach and the entire team?
Well, if my opinion was sold on this matter and had to be government policy, the president of the Cameroon Football Federation, Samuel Eto'o, and head coach he appointed should stand in front of Parliament, the representative of the people, and explain to Cameroonians what happened at the World Cup. That's exactly what I think should be done. Listen, Samuel Eto'o fixed him and made Cameroonians believe in him. He went ahead and handpicked his good friend, was elder brother in the squad, called Rigobert Song Bahanak. He's a man who had failed in his assignments with lower divisions of the national football team, and was given the Cameroon national football team to captain in the World Cup. Let them come and explain to Cameroon what happened, to Cameroonians what happened. Because if you draw an analogy between the preparation of a team and what they got as the results, you find some missing link somewhere. What happened when they played against Switzerland in the first match, and what happened when they played against Serbia? Are you suggesting that the team, although I predicted, or I projected, you want projection, I call prediction, that it was going to be Brazil that they will have as their only source of redemption in the first round? What happened that it happened that way? Would have taken the best team to give them the best result? Why not they slack the weakest team to give them the best result? So they should have called up before the parliament to explain to Camerooners that the taxpayers' money was not mismanaged when they're putting together a team to go and play at the World Cup finals in Qatar 2022. The head coach followed in the wake of what the president was saying, that Cameroon will win the World Cup. He did what he could do. But the truth is, we didn't have it. If you had a better coach, an experienced coach, the players you have in camp with the Cameroon team that should be getting into town about in the next 2 hours should have given a better result. What is happening? This is no longer the time we'll have to let go certain kinds of things. It's not like I'm saying that they should be indicted for this or that, but I think that accountability should be given to the Cameroonian people.
So again, I think you have joined the chorus. There's a current crop of analysts who think that some should not have been given that opportunity because he has had nothing to prove, given all the opportunities you have had at different levels. And tactically, from the get-go, even on this forum, we have had people who said he should have used the 4-4-2 system and should have used his Choupo-Moting and Abubakar. After the first game, you saw what happened, and then second game, he repeated the same thing and only changed it when things were not going. Cameroon was already 2 goals down. And I think that based on that result, even though after the problem with Onana, there was some rumor going on that the president of Pakafu threatened the coach that he was going to replace him with Patrick Mboma. So again, my general question is, do you think that, I mean, with the results we have, do you think we should continue using just local coaches, former players, or we can also, I mean, and I want to point out that all the teams, the 5 teams, all had expatriates as assistant coaches, isn't it? All of them. They had local players, but all of them had assistant coaches who were all foreigners, and they can look that up to get that correct. But
no, the 5 African teams in the World Cup had African coaches. And what we are saying is very simple. That Lambert, if you would ask me, how do you go about choosing the coach of the national team in Cameroon? Then they watch what the competence. It doesn't have to do whether you're a home-based coach or a foreign expertise. That is not what I look at. Who can deliver? That's what I look at. Who can deliver? Now, if you decide that from word go, it should be a home-based technician, look for the best. That is it. If you think it's coming from abroad, look for the best. As easy as that. So, I will not say that I'm throwing the blame at the coach for not having taken Cameroon beyond the first round of the competition. What I'm looking at is what were the decisions that were taken and who were chosen to handle what part of the management of Cameroon football. Samuel Eto'o would have been doing all his best. I don't remember that on this program I ever told you that I had anything with Samuel Eto'o. I kept on praising Samuel Eto'o for all the good things he was doing. But I told you the week before we had the final list that you cannot begin doing the things so well as you're doing and towards the end come and budgeting because of some selfish reasons. I wasn't mentioning that. Go back to the tapes of the Lambom Show and not change what I'm saying. So looking at Rigobert's song, you cannot say that he never proved anything. He did. What did he prove? He was very incompetent because the lower ranks of the national team, he didn't produce a result. So why do you think that he produces it that way? It goes to a higher level. It's not possible. Now, when we get reports coming from there, reports that we cannot on a Lambom Show confirm or deny that there was an overbearing presence of the president inside the Lions Den, it poses a problem too. So that's what I'm saying, that normally the president of the Cameroon National Assembly to summon the national coach and first beginning with the president of the federation and national coach come and tell the Cameroonians through their representative what happened to Cameroon's indomitable Lions at the World Cup, where instead of becoming the indomitable Lions, they became the tameable Lions.
Well, I don't know whether the president of the National Assembly even cares, but we don't do politics. But Elias says, I think the difference between success and failure has been organization. This is the least talented team that has produced better results than a team that was one of favorites to win the 2002 World Cup. Song was fighting for his job and won his career in the last game. Then,
you know what, Elias, don't you bother. And I give you kudos, Elias, because it shows you I'm following Cameroon football for a long time. The Cameroon team that would have won the World Football Cup would have been a team in 2002. That one I agree with you. I was there as a reporter on CRTV. Now, when you go ahead and say the party, this and this, and what I want you to know, let me look at the last thing you were saying that this is the least talented team from producing better results and team that won favorites and stuff like that. Son was fighting for his job and won the game. But I want to tell you something, This is in-house information. Somebody told Fees is going to sweep the entire household at about 90% from the technicians to the managers of Fika Food after this tournament. That one I can tell you as an exclusive on Lambom Show.
So again, that you are agreeing with him, there has been a problem of organization. And Philemon says some should be given the chance to build this young team. Comfort, I agree with you, Fon. They need to explain to us what happened. And secondly, the Onana saga as well. Then Elias comes back to say, I think it's more, do you remember the 1998 team? It reminds me of this team. A well-experienced coach like Claude Leroy played in Boma deep, and we suffered in the first game. It happens. When Boma was set up high, he exploded. So let's give some the benefit of the doubt, although I think he was being tactically lacking.
Well, Elias, I want to tell you something. You remember I call you the chieftain or the purist or the curation of the gaps metaphor. When I say something, you see there were a lot of gaps. There is something that you have to understand about the game of football. One, if the coach is worth his salt, he will field the best team, the best tactics. Two, if the coach is worth his salt, he's going to make sure that he gives results to his employers. Three, if the coach is worth his salt, if he finds anybody breathing on his neck, he will resign. It doesn't matter what stage of the competition he is. So, therefore, when Claude Leroy, as a tactician or a technician, discovered that the team that was being played at the 1998 World Cup Finals in France was not giving the right, so he changes. He has to answer to the Cameroonian people of what he's doing. If Fika Food, through the Minister of Sport, hired him as a technician, he has to answer to them at the end of the day. So, this whole thing of people saying that, no, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. Song Bahanak, as far as I'm concerned, did not qualify to manage his team. Forget about the flicker of luck that happened in Bleeder. You had the chance now. We keep on clamoring. It would appear that the Cameroonian people had the gem who will be playing where in the national team of Cameroon. No, it doesn't happen that way. We can celebrate this and go along. But I think at some point, the players take upon themselves the responsibility to deliver on promise. That's where we are.
So, again, so let me ask, as a former, you have been covering the national team for a while. Who are the revelations of this team for you during this World Cup competition? Because especially at yesterday's game, everybody's singing the praises of the goalkeeper, isn't it? We now have a new goalkeeper, call it. And then somehow you had Kunde, who was a very great midfielder. And they changed. They put, I don't know what happened to Castelletto and yesterday. We didn't have them, and the defense was solid. So, do you think that, like somebody said, is the lineup that we should have used from the get-go?
Well, Lambert, you know what? One of the members of the team called Emmanuel Bangolo is on a plane coming back to Cameroon with the entire Cameroon delegation headed by the Cameroon's Minister of Sports and Physical Education. When he will come back here, he will ask that question. But if you were to ask me the question by watching what's happening on the television screens, I would say the truth about the matter is the team that went to the World Cup was made up of 26 good players. It therefore required a good technician unless the human resources can come and produce the best with Cameroon football in the World Cup. In my opinion, I didn't think that that's what happened. That's the truth about the matter. That's what I think, and nothing else.
So who are the ones? I mean, do you don't have any special players you want to give a shout out to after 3 games?
No, I think that the entire team was good. It had to do with who is put where to deliver what results. I think that's what it was. And if you don't have the person who can determine who goes where and who goes where, you have what you have as a result. Now, the issue with a passing is very simple. People have to understand certain things. Remember before this match, before the campaign, we were quarreling about the selection of Onana and not Fabrice Ondua. And I kept on harping on something that you should have brought along Fabrice Ondua. And the argument was very simple that should something happen along the line, what do you do? Whom do you turn to? Now this time around, it happened. I changed around to a passing. A passing knows, of course, he's a professional player. I've been given my chance. There's only one thing I can do to embrace that chance. That was giving what is given. Now, I'm not so sure that if we were to have another game tomorrow, that a passing will come and do the same kind of thing. He has stamped his image in the minds of Cameroonians who are going to come out as their own, the advocates for him, with or without him. So that's what happens. So for me, each and every player was there, was what they saw. That at the goalkeeping department, as it turned out to be, I thought, don't create a situation, Lambert, where you end up having 6 A grades and 4 B grades in the GCO level when you should have had 10 A grades. That's what I'm talking about. Create the environment where each and every person can provide what they have to the best of their ability. So the national team, as it was for me, was good. But they had the way they went about choosing the tactical options was a problem. Now with Andre Onana, we are being told that he raised certain objections concerning who should play along the defense line because he thought he had the first class key and therefore did not think that he should create a situation where all of that will brush aside and he has to start fighting on how to gain global recognition. I understand that. That Lambert, when a team comes to camp, the last word goes to the coach. Good a bad coach, you don't challenge his authority in front of your teammates. So if that's what happened, well, good and fine. And now he has created an opportunity for a passing, and I imagine that the next challenge for the Lions, they'll call it a passing, but don't expect him to be as good as the World Cup. Because you have promised something, you have taken him. Now you say, okay, well, I'm now number 1. Let's see what happens.
So you can see Elias has had his own back 3. I don't know why he did. Back 4. I mean, passes the goalkeeper. I'm sure he will include five colleagues in that group. And maybe there's a line that because I think the problem was, from what I read, Onana really wanted Obosi to be part of the defense team, isn't it? In lieu of Kulu. But again, Wu took. I mean, I think they did well. But fun. The other controversy that erupted with the list. Do you think that Gade was greatly missed?
It's not like Gade was missed, but I thought things were a little better with him. So it wasn't like he was missed. Things would have been a little better with him. Now, with the men that Elias suggests, I agree with him in the sense that when you evolve in competition, it's what happens with every other thing in human life. I don't go too far. When I was leaving CRTV, they thought that by leaving CRTV will create a hole in the sports service. Now, a young man came up called Dene Umagana, who was one of the guys I always wanted to work with. I wanted to work with him and work with him, but the Albert and others. And I think he's doing well. So if you don't create a vacancy for something, for somebody to prove themselves, you're never able to know that people can do themselves. Now, stay away from the argument you say that, well, a Pasi has come is better than Onana, and so on and so forth. No, don't look at it that way. But content yourself with the fact that a Pasi has come in and we are no longer desperately lacking as we had thought would be in the absence of Onana. Now, if you look at it, the defense line, now that defense line that was put up, it was an athletic defense line, and that was the defense line could stand up to the challenge from Brazil with Tolo, and Fai Collins. We saw exactly what happened in the match, and I think that from what we saw on Sport Vision, Cameroonians are saying that, well, we didn't qualify for the 8 finals. We have won the trophy. We don't win that cup. Just because they defeated Brazil. So they put together a team that would have given the results. So I buy the idea of that defense line as provided for us or suggested to us by Elias.
So let's again, we wish the Lions well. We wish them. I hope that they're going to regroup. They're on their way to Cameroon right now. They should be landing in Yaounde shortly. But let's move on to Ghana. Ghana seems to have been the disappointment, isn't it? Because there are lots of hope with the Black Stars of Ghana. And there is something about this Ghanaian team and penalties. Again, it always has to do with the most adored member of the team, because as Samoa and it's the same Uruguay team, isn't it? I don't know why Andrea you took that penalty, and that seemed to have just, messed up the entire team for the rest of the game. What happened to the Ghanaian team, and the coach has resigned, isn't it? He promised that after the World Cup he was going to resign, but that is done. After all, he's out. He's supposed to be coaching in Germany. But what is your assessment of the Ghanaian team? Because they said they are the second. They were competing with the US to be the youngest team. But I think there were only 2 players in the Ghanaian team who had played at any World Cup competition previously.
Well, before I answer that question, I want to tell Elias that Ebose goes out there, let Wu come in. Say swap places with Ebose and Wu. So, Lambert, promises are made. But the next thing is, are those promises kept? You can promise that you're going to resign from the Lambom Show, even though you created Lambom Show, it doesn't deliver the goods. The next question is, have you resigned, although you made a promise to resign? So the promises made by the coaches to resign, or the players to resign if this doesn't happen, is an entirely different story. The Ghanaian team set for themselves a revenge against Uruguay, because it is known that thing would have been the 2nd of July 2010 in South Africa during the World Cup finals hosted by South Africa, that Mutari scored a goal for Ghana against Uruguay at the 45th minute, and that Diego Forlan equalized at the 55th minute. And when that score line of 1-1 persisted, they went on to 120 minutes play. And so, at that time, Ghana was going to score. As the ball was heading to the net, Suarez dived and pulled up the ball and earned a red card. So the penalty kick was given to Ghana to see how they can make capital of what was supposed to be theirs. Ghana Samoa shot wide, and Ghana failed to become the first African country to reach the semi-finals of the World Cup. Now they proceeded to the post-match penalties, and Uruguay won by 4-2. That was something that those who keep the records of African football, world football, remember. That could be something that at some point in time Ghana want to put on the table and take a revenge on Uruguay. So it was expected that in the match 2 days ago that they had to qualify by defeating Uruguay. And there you shot wide, or rather, he didn't shoot wide because the goalkeeper parried the ball. The first thing that comes for is that Ghana has failed twice to deliver a stroke of redemption faced with Uruguay. I don't want us to start consulting the oracles to find out what is happening. But the truth about it is that they have not scored twice. Or let's say go to the mathematical induction. If it didn't happen once, it must happen the second time because 1 and 2 are natural numbers and so on and so forth. It happened that way. And I think that if Andre Ayew had his way, he would have scored so that to take Ghana to the next round of the competition. He didn't score, and we got the result at the end of the day.
Do you think that it would have been better to have a Nigeria qualified than Ghana for this competition?
Lambert, the teams that qualified for the final rounds of the World Cup were the best qualified to do that. Any other team that did not qualify was less qualified to do that. So there's no such thing as saying that this thing would have qualified than the other one. I know that yesterday people were asking the questions, well, what does Algeria think about Cameroon's elimination? That would have done better than Brazil. Start by qualifying against Cameroon before you tell us whether you can qualify or defeat Brazil. The facts are there. Sometimes these things don't tell lies. But I agree on something that sometimes when you talk football, the results and the indications are sometimes just about 90% or 95% and most accurate. So we make do what we say. So there is no such thing as this team and this other team we qualified. No, start by qualifying. When I used to work at CRTV, they appointed people they call grand reporters. That's evocative. I was never appointed grand reporter in the days of Jeremy, not even in the days of Bawunge. But I told them, I made a mockery of the things that thing of grand reporter was in the blood, so in the bloodstream. It didn't depend on what you put on a piece of paper. But the worrying thing about it is that less qualified staff were appointed my bosses. So when we went abroad, they attended to them. They said, who is the chief? They called for a less qualified staff. When they couldn't speak well, people said, but if your chief cannot speak well, it means that none of you below that can speak better. Whereas the arguments and logic have been fortress on the world go.
That's Cameroon for you. So again, I'm grateful that we missed Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire. That's another team that we missed, and hope that maybe with 9 teams qualifying in 2026, we are going to have a better collection of African teams. Tunisia, and so seemingly the last games were always good games for these teams that have not performed well to come. So Tunisia beat France and yet did not qualify for the second round. So Tunisia too put up a very spirited performance, and they too really gave a good image of African football. What is your assessment of the Tunisian team?
Well, I told I think Raymond Alume was supposed to be on this program tonight. I don't know what's happening to him. That if the coach of Brazil copied from what I called the Deschamps calculus, it was going to get it all wrong. When Chela said I already qualified, let me just bring a second-rated team to see what happens. When they tried to bounce back from adversity, it didn't prove productive. They tried to do what they did. But history retains that Tunisia defeated France with Mbappe, Griezmann, and company in attendance. So, and you never ever change your record. Now, that was a lesson to African teams. When you're going to the World Cup, from the word go, begin the song on the right note. Don't say, we go there to see what's going to happen like this, but let's try to see what is happening. No! Cameroonians are complaining today that no, had we done this and so on and so forth. So this kind of things happen in Tunisia. Now, at the end of the day, they are trying to gratify in the fact that they had a goal scored by the playmaker, and then you defeated France. Yes, you defeated France. But who is playing the final? France, not you. So Africans have to learn that simple piece of education. Have to get to terms with certain kinds of things. So that I congratulate the Tunisian side, because in spite of all of that, at the end of the day, the simple items you take to make a history in a particular competition, at the end of the day, I'm going to speak to you. And I think that Tunisia gave Africa an important painting on their cartographic landscape by being a site that defeated the defending champions. I think that was good for that. They would have gone better than that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I love the point you make. It's the same thing. Well, I mean, I think it's, I don't know. Well, that's arithmetic progression, not geometric progression. But they lost a game like Cameroon. You lose, then you draw, then you win, isn't it? And we are saying that they should reverse that. You should win, then you can have a draw, then you can lose the last one, and that's great. So now let's get to. So I hope are heaped on Morocco.
No Lambert.
Yes.
No Lambert. Play each and every game. Play each and every game to win.
Well, I'm sure that's what they intended to do, but they didn't deliver. And we're just saying if push comes to shove, that is what should be happening. I think today's show has been focused on you, Fon. Everybody is like, and my friend, in my opinion, Fon is the biggest winner of the World Cup. His clairvoyance that guided the prediction with meticulous accuracy and arithmetic precision is tantalizing. The prediction that Cameroon would crush Brazil was at odds with the invincibility of Brazil, previous performances, and the numbers. Fun. It's like wine. It gets better with age.
Thank you very much.
Fun's analysis are impeccable. It's very objective, leaving emotions and the luck that came our way yesterday. I don't know whether I was just luck. Piambo, I've not seen you since. Welcome, Piambo. But again, let's go to Morocco. Morocco is playing one of the teams that is tipped to be a favorite to win this World Cup, Spain. Squad. Do you think Morocco is going to be able to break that code?
Well, I think I can only take us back to what Louis Pascal Fuda said on Sport Vision, that it's an open game, right? Morocco and Spain. If you look at the records book, this way goes to Spain. If you look at the present situation, Morocco is saying that since we say we have nothing to say, we're going to fight our way to the hall, like some guy who crashed into a party and was named the MC. So what we are saying is between Morocco and Spain, we just have to hold our breath and see what happens after that. Because it becomes really interesting. The one thing that's very certain is that it's going to be a classical clash. People who know how to play football. Everyone can show that.
At least tomorrow we'll get our first Senegal versus England, and on Tuesday with Morocco versus Spain, and our fingers are crossed, and we wish the two African teams, to wish them the best. Of course, tomorrow, even though I love Manchester United and I have three of our Manchester United players in the English team, tomorrow we are all going to be rooting for the Teranga Lions of Senegal. And well said, my dear friend and classmate Jude Agua Ozuge. Okay, people are meeting their classmates here. Comfort. Fun. I mean, outside the African teams, which teams are you looking forward to again?
I have not looked at very clearly. I have not looked at very clearly how the genetical constitution or the family tree of the World Cup is. But just walking out of bed and asking yourself, is this a World Cup? And telling you yes. 32 teams playing, yes. This and this available, yes. I think at the end of the day, I don't know whether it will be before the final game. It would seem to me that it's going to be a tough fight between the defending champions and those who think that winning the cup is their right. France and Brazil. You have to square up and see who is the best in the world right now. That's what I think.
So you are writing off Argentina.
There is something about Argentina that we have to understand. Please stop carrying the whole nation and putting on the shoulders of the illness. Whereas it's virtually passing through the eye of a needle to move from one stage to another. It's just one player in the team. Now, Argentina could do better without Messi. The same thing as Senegal is doing better without Sadio Mane. Understand me? Now, if you have one player, when they crowd on the player, you know why Cameroon defeated Senegal during the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations was because there was too much dependence on Sadio Mane, and then the coach of the Cameroon said, "You go, bros, it's okay. Cut off the supply to Sadio Mane and you win the match," and that was exactly what happened. So stop this over dependence on one player, because that one will prove at the end of the day to be Achilles' heels.
I think Ele agrees with you with respect to the Spanish team as well. Spain and Morocco. Says Morocco is a tough team and will beat Spain for these reasons. They are physical, and like Japan, will give Spain lots of problems. Spain is a passing team but has holes in their defense. So I'm sure Spain does not depend only on Morata and the other attackers up front. They have a whole. The Moroccans are going to give them a real hard time on Tuesday. So in the remainder of the time, I think we have had a good time out, fun. Any last words?
Well, Lambert, I just want to say that people around town are getting increasingly interested in the Lambom Show, and they just have one worry. I try to tell the chief executive officer that if the program is beginning at 4 p.m., it begin at 4 p.m. And I told him that, even at CRTV in town, sometimes when it's 4 p.m., the only thing that seems to even respect the time is the news, because they know that the president of the republic is watching and could easily sack the man in charge if he has to wait for 3, 4, 5 minutes without having the news. So we have all these logistical constraints. But what I know is that more and more people are getting interested. And I can only encourage you that you keep on with this good initiative, and things are going to work out well. And we're going to try to put in our very, very best and let things go the way they should go. And they say that at the end of the day, the World Cup is ongoing. Please, let's assume that I have the best players and the best coaches and best everything you want to have. At the end of the day, just one team will win the tournament. So fans who are militants and disciples of football, I can understand that.
So thank you very much, and I really want to appreciate you and the team in Yaounde Fund. Thank you for all you guys are doing to make sure that we have the best. And as I say at the end of every show, please try to support us to be able to accomplish it, to be able to bring this show live every week. We do our best, and I'm grateful that you, Fund, with the history you have, the analysis and the capabilities, you keep the funds alive and active. At the end of it, I want to thank Emmanuel Kiven, who's all the way in California. He sent me a little donation to support the Lambom Show. I want to thank Jude Agua Ozugen, who is also doing everything to make sure that the Lambom Show comes on live every Saturday. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to more people coming to support us. Go and subscribe on our YouTube channel, share the broadcast, and invite many more people. We shall be back on Monday after tomorrow's game. We shall be back on Monday and prepare for Tuesday's game. Thank you all. Enjoy your Saturday, and I'll talk to you.
Pleasure.